What?
We ready?
Give it to go.
We
ready.
my voice is cracked. For y'all.
Go extra deep. There you go. That's how you make up for it. Good.
Welcome to the Training Partners Podcast, episode 28.
Yes.
28. Let's go. We're cooking. Today we have Hughston Armstrong with us, Coach Hugh, leader of our Pillar program.
Yeah.
Swiss Army knife, coach NotiFit classes periodically, nutrition coaching, heavy metal coach. You help out with the sports performance, a little bit of everything. What do you not do?
I don't ride horses.
Okay. Ooh, have you ever ridden a horse?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Tell
But
me
I
about
don't
that.
currently.
You don't currently ride horses.
I don't. So I actually worked on a family friend's farm for a summer. Building an addition onto their stable so that they could add the pony for their granddaughter to the barn where the rest of the horses were, because they were like, we want the pony to be with the other horses.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked on it that entire summer. But outside of that, like I've ridden horses. We've done like little trail rides and for like a tour, right? A trail tour kind of thing of riding horses. And I always enjoy it. I mean, I always end up sore because I don't do it regularly. But
What is the difference between a horse and a pony?
the size, so like ponies, well, depends on who you ask, right? But in my eyes, I'm like, pony is baby horse.
Is
right?
there a scientific difference between the two?
Oh, man, I have to look that up. I don't know. That's not the question for me. And I'm not going to, perjure myself?
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, into what we're going to talk about today. Do you know? I think you do know. Do you know what today's unofficial holiday is?
Quitter's Day.
Today is Quitter's Day. So today is January 9th that we're recording this. This will come out a week later.
Yep.
But today is International Quitter's Day, which is the day that most people give up on their New Year's resolutions and goals.
Sad but true.
Not even 10 days.
Yeah, I know, right? Like a week and a half.
That's insane.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
wild. It's sad. It's like you set these goals, you have these big ambitions, you want to better yourself, and then not even 10 days into it, it falls apart.
I think you hit on a very important point where we have very big ambitions rather than small actionable steps.
I like
get to
that.
talk
There
about,
you go, a
right?
little foreshadowing. So today that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about like New Year, smarter, health, fitness, all that good stuff. That's the overall theme, and like how to actually achieve goals versus setting these things and then 9 days later falling apart.
Right.
So let's get started. So when it comes to setting expectations and then connecting emotionally with that, sorry, I messed up right there.
Yeah.
But when you basically, I want you to focus on like setting expectations for what we're going to talk about when it comes to goals and those New Year's resolutions and stuff.
Sure. So this is not about perfection, right? When we set a goal, we assume like this has to happen in a very strict, regimented way. And so that is not this. And we're going to talk about like what red flags are, but those people who preach that it has to happen this way or it's going to fail, that is typically like a red flag. So this is about being able to be consistent. You know, the hard 75 is one thing, but I think it's actually harder to do the 365 moderate, right? Which is what we're trying to accomplish a little bit more so, and hopefully a lifetime, right?
Yep.
So be able to focus on the sustainability and realistic goals and the actions that drive those goals. So talking about SMART goals, and that's the acronym SMART, and being able to build a routine that can stick, right? So that we don't become burnt out 10 days in, less than 10 days in.
Yes.
And also we'll go over what a lot of times you'll see in the fitness industry, right? What gyms and or coaches, individual coaches get right. And then a lot of times what they get wrong and why we tend to hit that burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something definitely, I'm glad you built our plan today, and I was glad you put that in there, because that's one thing that I see a lot of is like, okay, we use this time in the gym industry as like, all right, as a business, this is our time to shine. This is our time to like build our base. Let's get 50 new clients and let's just see who lasts the remainder of the year. So I'm glad we're going to chat about that, because foreshadowing again, we don't do any, hey, first 30 days free, New Year. We do none of that here. That's the route we've chosen to go, because we value our product, and we also value the people. We don't want to just be like, all right, here's a free thing that you're not going to value yourself, which in return, in my opinion, leads to them not valuing their goals and their ambitions and all that stuff.
Right.
So we'll get to that later on, but that's
Sure.
the part I'm selfishly excited about. So it looks like here you got a little bit of psychology that you want to chat about. So like the New Year motivation. So what is that?
Yeah, so the New Year motivation is kind of this turnaround, right? Everybody sees, all right, we're flipping the calendars. Now it's a brand new start, whether it's a Monday or not. Oftentimes you could see this on the grander scale of the annual new year versus all right, it's Monday, I can start this routine, right? Or I can start this thing rather than starting it on a Thursday or a Saturday. So January itself feels like a reset button for a lot of folks for that reason. It's just, all right, this is something brand new. And I think it's also a societal thing, right? We've ended a year and we've brought in a new year together. And so being able to do these new things almost feels like a community feel, right? There's that additional component. And so I like to joke a lot of times with class-based fitness that it's misery loves its company.
For sure.
Right. And so people will come in and they're willing to suffer as long as they're in a class and other people are suffering too. But in the best way possible. And I'll do a quick side tangent. I think this is what CrossFit got really right is that they created a community around fitness. And that brought in it reduced actually the barrier of the like cognitive load that people were like, all right, if I'm going to go to the gym by myself and I have to do this thing by myself and I have to keep pushing myself to do it rather than there's a coach who's going to be there. There's other people who are going to be there. And there's different levels to this that I can fall into and compete with one other person or compete with the class. It made the psychology of fitness, particular fitness, a lot easier. Exercise, a lot easier. And so then we get into those common pitfalls that we usually come in at when we're doing this alone, which is like overcommitting ourselves. We're like, okay, I'm going to do every single day, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to eat this particular type of food, or I'm going to do XYZ for my mental health, right? Yep. So we'll cross the whole spectrum here of like physical, mental, emotional health, and what that entails. But the overcommitment is usually what gets people in those first 9 days. And they're like, well, if I can't do it perfectly, then I'm not going to do it at all.
What you said a couple minutes ago really stuck in my head was me and Sarah are I think couples in general are notorious for this. It's like, it's Saturday night, it's Friday evening, and you want that Dairy Queen Blizzard that we were actually literally just talking about before we came in here. And then you're like, you look at each other, you're like, all right, diet starts Monday. And we've all done it. We're all guilty of that. And that's okay. That's fine. But January 1 is just a massive version of that.
Yeah.
And then I even saw what was funny. I saw this posted. I think another local gym actually posted it. Is January 1 actual start, or is it the first Monday after that?
Right.
Because like that, I think New Year's was a Thursday this year, if I remember correctly. Correct. So like for them, and we noticed it here too, that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it wasn't much different.
No.
But then Monday, which was the 4th or whatever day it was, that's when it actually like kind of picked up. It's like, oh, you still did that thing of I'm going to wait till Monday, even though January was started. So it's and so that does lead to it being like, this is a bigger wait till Monday. So it does, I think it even leads more into that like overcommitment that you're talking about. Like, all right, this is the year. This is my year. Right. I'm going to do all these things.
Yeah.
So how do we reframe that to where we make it sustainable and all the good things you were talking about?
Yeah. So this is where motivation actually starts with action. And so it's not, while you have the motivation, it's a good time to spend a lot of time planning so that you have very specific things that you can do to move towards the goal itself. So the goal, right, is an overarching thing, and we'll get to SMART goals. I don't want to get too far into this, but you have the overarching thing, which is the goal, and then you want to come back to the specific actions that you're going to do in order to make this goal happen on a realistic timeline. I know I'm already diving into some of these things, but creating that system is going to be more important for you to be consistent than, okay, this is my goal, and I just need to make sure that I do all of these things in order to achieve that goal. Because we also have a fairly common principle, which is the 80-20 principle, that if 80% of the time I'm quote unquote 100% on, then the other 20% shouldn't throw me one direction or the other. And that's also where we come into like a cheat day, right? People think, oh, well, if I just have this cheat day. But we have to take that contextually again. There's still, if we go to the classic weight loss, there's a limit in those calories that I can have a cheat day and still fall within the range that I have allotted myself on a week-to-week basis. So create the system. Most important there, create the system, because when the motivation isn't there, that's what you fall back on, right? And if the system, the consistency isn't there, then the motivation isn't going to matter.
Right.
And making sure that these goals are also identity forward, I won't say, or identity based. It needs to relate to why you need to make this change. Is the change behavior even important to you? Everybody says I need to be in better shape.
Yeah.
Well, why?
Right.
Why do you need to be in better shape? We know there's a range of healthy weights that you can be healthy at a variety of weights, but you can also be unhealthy at any weight.
Right.
And so when it comes to weight loss, I really make sure that I hound people who are like, I want to do nutrition coaching or I want to do personal training, and they know why they're doing it.
Yeah.
We know the benefits from a physiological standpoint of what strength training and conditioning, aerobic conditioning can do for the heart, for the muscles, for longevity. But oftentimes they don't care about the physiology. Right? It's what else do they want to do in their life? Do they want to play with their grandkids? Do they want to play with their kids? Do they want to avoid the heart surgery that their grandparents and parents had, right? It's a generational thing. Why is this goal itself connected to your identity? Because that's what's going to help sustain it again.
I think what got me thinking there was, instead of so much focus on like I need to weigh 185 pounds, just making this number up. It's like, okay, I want to be the person that, I eat these healthy meals and I eat right, but also I have fun on the weekend and whatever it is. I live this 80-20 rule. And then the outcome ends up being what originally was the goal.
Right.
So like, so if you focus on like what you're saying, the process of like, I'm gonna focus on, I'm gonna be the person that lives this lifestyle, and then you get the outcome of what your original goal was.
Right.
So I really like reframing it there.
Yes.
So that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, it's more important to create good habits versus just hitting a goal. Because then you could even like, these goals can create bad things to where we make poor decisions.
Right.
That we still achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Because like, you can get to that 185 pounds, like you said, and be very unhealthy.
Yeah.
So like, did you actually better yourself? Yes, you hit your goal, but did you better yourself?
Yes.
So
right. Extreme transformations is something that we see, right? The 30-day challenge or the 28-day challenge or whatever it may be, or 60 days, right?
Yeah.
Transform your life. And like, but did you transform your life? We even saw it with, they made the TV show for it, The Biggest Loser.
Dude, did you watch the documentary on that?
I didn't have to watch the documentary to know how bad some of the rebound was.
That's fair.
But yeah, it has been on my like to-do list.
Yeah, it is wild. It'll give you a new perspective on Jillian Michaels, and I think his name was Barry, the trainer.
Yeah.
That's not the Barry from Barry's Boot Camp, is it?
I don't think so.
I don't even know if his name is Barry. I don't know what's going on.
If not, sorry, Barry.
Yeah, sorry, both Barrys.
Yeah. But yeah.
Cool. So let's go into how that works. The goal setting, practical, smart goals.
Yeah, practical is going to be a key part in that. But let's go through
There's no P in smart.
That's right. Which is why we said the word instead of P smart.
P smart or B smart.
Be smart about your SMART goals.
There we go.
All right. So what SMART stands for? First of all, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound or timeline bound. Specific would be, what exactly are you doing? And the more specific you are with the goal, the easier it is to develop specific actions to take towards that goal. Measurable means that we're tracking whatever it is that we're doing, and that can be. That could be a simple checklist. It could be, from a nutrition standpoint, tracking macros, if that's what you want to do. But it is finding some way to track so that we can identify change, but also reflect on what works and what doesn't work. The next thing is to be achievable. So if we'll take your example earlier, if your goal is 185 and you weigh 245 and you are trying to do this in a month, is that realistic for your lifestyle? Is it realistic? Period. And then outside of that, is it going to be safe or healthy? I guess would be the next thing with that. Relevant. Why does this matter to you? And I come back to that identity based or the identity type goal to relate and come back to whenever you lack motivation, so that we can revisit. You can have a Post-it note that's put on your bathroom mirror that you see first thing every morning if that's the route that you want to go. But something that reminds you that you're working towards this goal because of this reason, and this is either who you are or who you want to be.
I love that. That's probably my favorite one, and the sticky note on the mirror is a great example. But anything that keeps it top of mind.
Yes.
Because these are such things that these type of goals that we're specifically talking about, like, I feel like we only think about them when we're in our worst state.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll go for a run and like it's been 3 days after Christmas and I've eaten nothing but cookies every day. And I'm like, oh, I feel like awful. I feel like crap. I've eaten like crap. Now I need to do good. But if you like have that sticky note and you see it every day, it's like, nope, I'm gonna make good choices today. We're gonna keep I really love that one.
Yeah, it's a reminder as to why the actions that you chose are important too, right? Why
that's a good point. It really reminds you of your why. So on the sticky note, would you write the end goal or would you write the why or would you write both?
Depends on the person. Okay. And this may change. I think this is the other side is be a little flexible with how you approach this. That if something's not working, and that's why we do reflections, but if something's not working, you're willing to change it. And this is whether or not you're working with a coach or not, but be willing to change. So if you're like, I want to put the why on there and you look at the why, but you're like, all right, I understand like this is who I want to be, but I forget sometimes what the actual goal is in pursuit of this, then maybe it helps this person to put the goal instead. Or have certain times of the year that all right, as when I get 6 months in, I know I am more connected with my why. I'm going to change my Post-it note to my goal so that I can stay a little bit more driven to the specific goal. But because you've already identified or you've already connected more solidly with the why.
I kind of like, okay, here's what I'm creating in my head. I don't know the details on it yet.
Okay.
But you fill out like a couple sticky notes.
Yep.
And the theory is you forget what you've written on the lower ones.
Okay. Yeah.
So one on the top is like, now there's got to be like a trigger that triggers you to pull that sticky note off and go to the next one.
It's the time to change.
So, and it's going to be like to what you said of like, the why is really dialed in. I'm really connected with my why. And so again, I don't have an exact example, but like, all right, I figured out my why. Now I can pull this off. And then you see that next sticky note and it's like, oh, okay. Then it gets that next memory, that next thought going.
Yeah. Not that this is specifically the same, but leading up to our wedding, I actually I did a countdown of days and I wrote notes in each of one of those. Awesome. And essentially she got a letter each time, but it was like these small
here's
reminders.
The problem. I didn't do that for Sarah. Now you're out here making me look bad.
Sarah, don't listen to this episode.
Dude, second tangent of the day.
Okay.
Our friend Bishop got me in trouble. So we go to Run Club every Sundays.
Yep.
And we go to Summit Coffee in Noda. And they have pastries. And after every Run Club on Sunday, he brings his wife home a cinnamon roll. My lovely wife found out about this. And she says, why didn't you do that? So now, up until now, because part of her New Year's goals is we're not doing cinnamon rolls every Sunday.
Okay.
But up until this past week, I was having to bring cinnamon rolls.
Grab a cinnamon roll and take it back. That's right.
But it was a win-win because she was only eating like half of it. I was getting the other half.
So you get to have the other. You're like, all right, finish this run. Little treat.
It was great.
Yep. And cinnamon rolls are great to do it. It's one of my favorites.
Do they got a pumpkin one? It's very good.
Is it like the pumpkin icing or a pumpkin?
It's like I think they put pumpkin in the dough somehow. Well, there's pumpkin flavor in it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's very good.
All right. Yeah, we have a new way of making cinnamon rolls, man. I could go on for for a while.
We'll get us back on track. All right, so you're sending the letters to Amanda.
Yeah. So and those were again just like little reminders. And so not only did like she read them, but then she would give me feedback on like what she got out of that little note, right? And it wasn't anything extensive. I wasn't writing paragraphs, but it was just little things that was a reminder of small actions that either we did or a core memory that was there and what we got out of it and want to continue to make. And so those, just the act of sitting down and writing it also helped it to stick with me. Yeah. So coming back to the Post-it notes, if you physically sit down and you write these things down, they're also more likely to stick.
Yeah, it's just like to remember somebody's name, you're supposed to say it 10 times or whatever it is. Like write it down a couple times and then, love that.
It's the not just the repetition, but you're having to, one, think about the name, spell it out, and then you're having to physically do something. So there are multiple learning aspects. This is also this is movement in general, but you're having to do multiple things. You're having to take in multiple factors, and that learning, that reinforces that learning.
It's kind of funny that like we So in what we do, we know it so well. Of like, okay, we do these same movements over and over for like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Not why we do it to get good at them, but muscle memory does happen. But I personally don't think enough about like all these things that I want to do internally. I don't treat the same way. Right. I don't say them enough. I don't do them enough to create to like. If y'all see me snatch, my snatch is perfect. Like it's great because I've done it so many times,
especially at or above 95.
Chill. But to the point is like, if I do these creating these good habits, the more you do them, the more you say positive things, the more positive attitude you're gonna have. Like all that stuff, it all works kind of the same way.
What's whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
And so whichever direction you choose to go with your thoughts, with your movement, that's what
and it is like you'll hear it a ton. Is like that first run you go on, it's going to be the worst run. There's going to be other bad days.
Yeah.
But that first one's going to suck.
Yeah.
That if you eat
first few are probably going to suck.
That's true. The first one's real bad.
Yeah.
But like that first day you go without a candy bar at night, it sucks.
Yeah.
But it gets 1% easier every single day. It just slowly gets easier.
Yeah. And that 1%, it makes a big difference. There, I'll reference this because I love the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, right? And it really was about like what 1% can we make difference. And he gives examples on like a very elite level. And I think this comes into the point of where people are like, I have to have these big ambitious goals, and you don't. Like you take that it happens at the highest level and understand that if it has to happen at the highest level, like it also has to happen at the start too. Like there has to be a foundational 1%. Yeah. And it's okay to only make 1% improvement, because if you carry that for a year, that is still a massive increase compared to where you were. But just to kind of recap, so we've done specific, we've done measurable. How will you track it? How are you going to do this? Is this achievable? So is it realistic? As far as the goal itself, and as far as realistic and time bound, we'll get to that. So the next one will be relevant, right? That's the why. You could use the Post-its. There are other strategies, and this is why we recommend, like, don't be afraid to talk with a healthcare professional, whether that be a dietitian, whether that be a personal trainer or strength coach, or whatever your whatever the area of focus may be. Even if it's like a one-off, like sit down for an hour, lay out this plan so that you know exactly what you're going to do. If you're like, hey, I'm not going to be the one to pay for personal training for a year, that's fine. But still sit down with a coach and come up with a plan, so that you can get more. And that may turn into, hey, I see them once every 3 months or once every 6 months, or you just see them once that year. But take advantage of resources, and it's oftentimes it's better to sit down with a person rather than just leveraging AI, because I'll come back to this, but leveraging AI a lot of times comes down, can you ask the right questions?
Yeah, that's the more, like, we don't need to go down the AI rabbit hole, but like the more we use it, the more I've learned that it's just like, oh no, it responds to what you want it.
Yeah.
It kind of tells you what you already know.
It wants to please.
Yes. It very much wants to please.
Yeah. So, all right, coming back. So relevant is connecting with the why, and then the last one is time bound. So, when will you evaluate your progress? So are you doing this on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, or a daily basis? And then when is the end goal? And again, is that achievable? Is that a realistic timeline for what you're trying to do? So the 245 to 185 person weight loss goal that I mentioned earlier, so it's 60 pounds. If we're looking at realistic weight loss, aggressive versus conservative, right? There are times where we can be a little bit more aggressive, but when we tend to extend aggressive weight loss, it tends to lead to rebound, right? The weight regain. Versus slower, more manageable, let's say half a pound to 1 pound a week, or if you're working in kilos, you could extend it maybe up to 1 kilo, right? Half a kilo to 1 kilo per week for a certain amount of time. But eventually, you're going to have to come back to what would be considered maintenance. And you may learn along the way that your body doesn't feel well going beyond that, or you may have times where hey, I all of a sudden have dropped the first 30. I'm at 215. I'm feeling better. I'm doing these things. You get down to 205 and you get sick, and all of a sudden you kind of bump back a little bit. Yeah. And your body may have just been like, hey, that was a lot. We've changed a lot. Yeah. Can we just slow it down a little bit? And so you hit a maintenance phase, especially for diet, because it can also be mentally fatiguing.
For sure.
And so you're just like, all right, I'm going to maintain for maybe this 6 weeks. And then after that 6 weeks, then I can go back and do it maybe a smaller drop as we're getting closer and closer to that goal. Yep. It's not maybe what people want to do.
Right.
But again,
and that goes back to the main point here, is that they're focused on just that number.
Just the outcome.
So, yeah.
Correct.
So, and then just to expound on it more is that if you do that quick change, that's also less time for the habits to set in.
Right.
It's like, okay, we got to the goal in 6 weeks. Like, that was great. Well, you only practiced for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, if you got to the goal in 6 months, you've now practiced for 6 months.
Yep.
So it's, it could lead. Yes, you may hit your goal slower, but it may result in a longer term net positive.
We'll see how like that works for different folks, different strokes kind of thing.
Sure.
But like I'll pull these quotes, keep pulling them out. Bruce Lee was like, I do not fear the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times. Right. So it's establishing that habit and being consistent with that habit. The more reps that you get in, the more effective you're going to be with that. Yeah. Right. If we think about exercise, when you do your first squat versus when you do your 100th squat or your 10,000th squat, the body knows a little bit more of how to be efficient, how it's going to adapt, what load, what intensity, what it can manage. Yep. And so repetitions, whether it's exercise, whether it's affirmations, whether it's a dietary strategy, all of that repetitions is where it counts. Yeah.
And that's also like when you're doing these things, it's in my head, I can visualize. I'm struggling to put it into words, but like say there's like a straight line, and like over here is all good things, and all over here is all bad things. Yeah. And so like if you're living over here, so if like you're doing bad reps, you're doing shitty quality, you just tend to get further and further away. Yeah. But the more you start pulling it back this way, the further. So you just you can build a reserve positive, just like, yes, I'm doing lighter weights, I'm practicing this technique work, but that's positive reps. So you're just trending more in the right direction. Yeah, there's something to be said there when it comes to the difference between like pain management and performance. That might be a good one for another episode as far as like what's good technique. Because when we look at like research and it comes to pain, there you have so much variety. And my big example is always a deadlift versus Jefferson curl. When somebody's like, hey, flat back. This is the way it has to. The biomechanical freaks out there are gonna hate me. Oh my God, they're like, you have to deadlift like this. And I'm like, you don't. You don't. Yeah. you don't actually. Now, if you want to optimize performance for certain things, you're probably gonna have to fall within a much narrower range. For sure. Yeah. But your ability to perform exercise or movements and the way in which you perform them, our bodies are so adaptable. Yeah. It's great and also really bad. Yeah. Right. Just because you can. But all right, moving down. So we have our SMART goals, right? Or what SMART stands for. Example. Bad example for what we're going for. I want to get in shape, or I want to lose weight. Yeah. That would be a great outcome. Yeah. Or you could tell somebody this is what I did. But it also sounds more impressive if you're like, I went from 245 to 185. Right. How? I mean, you could go down the whole list. How is that specific? It's not. Cool. Right. How are we going to measure if you are in shape? Again, what metric are you? What does in shape mean for you? Right. Physical shape, or like a conditioning shape, or I hit this number of reps, this weight. So we can't measure how we're going to achieve it. Yeah, you don't know. He's like, what at that point? What does in shape mean? So if you're going to achieve it, how long do you have to do this? Right. And that comes back to like a time bound type deal. Right. And is it relevant? Yeah, I want to be in shape. Yeah, it could be relevant, but like there is something more to I want to get in shape. Somebody doesn't walk in and say I want to get in shape for getting in shape's sake. Right. They come in because they want to get in shape because worst case scenario, peer pressure. Right? Yep. Purely vain reasons of like somebody made a comment and now they feel their self-doubt. They have all these other things that are kind of spiraling with this. But getting in shape is not the solution. It is maybe it's a starting point. We'll give them that. It's a starting point. And that's to your point about like sitting down and talking with somebody. Now make sure the person you're talking to is going to give you good feedback. We'll talk about red flags instead of just instead of just saying yes to whatever you say. Right. So how would you revise that? How would you turn if I come to you like, hey, Hughston, I need help with this. I want to get in shape. Yeah. And now we're just talking about goals. So help me out. So just rephrasing the goal. I'll give you an example, and you're like, hey, does this work for you, or do we need to make other modifications? So a more smart revision would be, I will strength train twice a week for 30 minutes for the next 8 weeks. It gives you very specific action that you're going to do. It gives you amount of time that you're going to do it, and the amount of time that a session will last, but also the amount of time that you're going to complete this particular task. Yep. Now, a way that I would move this even further into a SMART goal
I will strength train twice a week at 7 a.m. for 30 minutes at Charlotte Strength for the next 8 weeks. So now I have an exact time, I have an exact location, and I've reduced any of those barriers that, well, okay, what happens if? It's like, no ifs, this is the set. And outside of that might be, how do I need to prepare myself so that I make sure this happens? And that might mean your action before you go to bed is you lay your outfit out the night before. You prepare any food or any breakfast or any like drinks other than maybe coffee if you want to make your coffee fresh in the morning. Right. So you've prepared the night before. I tell people this is prepping the kitchen. You don't just clean the kitchen. You're preparing the kitchen for the next meal. Right. So you're prepping your kitchen for the next day, essentially. And the more specific that you can get with whatever it is you're going to do, it might also help you to get more specific with if you get thrown off track. So if if you can't make it to the gym in the morning, so the follow-up to this goal is if I can't make the gym, then I will do 15 minutes in my living room. Or I will do 20 minutes in my garage. But you set a secondary, you have a backup.
I like that. How do you, I don't want to tangent this too far. Because I like that because I'm not a huge fan of like negative reinforcement of like, you didn't go, now go do 100 burpees. You know, I'm very much that with the gym. I've never been a fan of like, oh, you're 7 minutes late, you got to do 7 burpees. It's like, don't make a scene, just come in, just jump in. We're all adults. Things happen sometimes. Just come and get after it. Now, if you're a friend of mine, I'll probably harass you because that's how I show my love. But so how do you? So I like how you did that. It's like I'm not punishing myself for missing my goal, but I'm still going to do something that's going to help me attain the real goal of becoming a better version of myself.
You're still moving. You're still moving in that direction. Right. So I'm trying to choose something that reduces the barrier even more. It's not the optimal choice that I have, but it is still within a reasonable realm and falls maybe within that 80-20 principle. If we were like, hey, this is what the 80-20 is, you're still, the 80% is still just being active. And it may not even be twice a week. You maybe just be like, hey, I want to train at the gym once a week. And then at home, I want to go for an additional 30-minute walk. So whatever that looks like, it is changing the mindset of adding something versus subtracting something. So quick tangent because we did briefly touch on like what psychology is. So there's positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment.
There you go.
And so each of those, depending on what you're going for. So positive reinforcement means I'm adding something for accomplishing something. Whereas negative reinforcement is I'm taking something away for doing something. So if I get my 2 sessions in per week, I don't have to do my extra 30 minutes of cardio. Right? So I'm able to pull something out because I achieved something. That would be negative reinforcement. Whereas negative punishment might be, right, I didn't get my 2 things, I didn't get my 2 training sessions in, so therefore I can't have dessert. Right? And that's not to say that that's a bad thing per se, but oftentimes we take that to an extreme, right?
For sure.
So the negative punishment is where we have to be careful of, like we tend to drift into that because it's like, well, if I didn't do this thing, then I have to go to the other extreme. And it's not, how do I come back to that middle ground? How do I fall on the spectrum?
I think it's like kind of in our culture now, of like we deserve a treat for everything.
I
don't want to call
participation trophies.
I don't want to call this person out, but like this person has made a shit ton of progress. So first off that, but they personal training client, and they on Train Heroic, whenever you hit a PR, you get a little trophy. And so this person associates trophy to treat. So they'll be like, all right, how many trophies did we get? And this person, when they started here, was new to strength training. So they're getting a lot of trophies. And so, I get 3 treats today. So it's like, okay, that's fun, but at some point we gotta reel that back in a little bit.
So a way that I might follow this with the positive reinforcement in that sense, people are often motivated by money, not always, but often. So
money's nice.
Trophy to treat would translate into dollars. So if you get 3 trophies, then you can put $30, we'll say $10 for every trophy, right? Into your savings account or into a side account or whatever that is. And whenever you reach a certain amount, then you can buy yourself a new pair of shoes. You can buy yourself an outfit, or you can go and buy yourself an experience. So all of those things, if you're buying new gym equipment, if you're buying yourself a massage, those still go towards I want to be a little bit healthier individual. right? Or I want to be this healthier individual, and whatever your why is for that reason, you're still treating yourself, but you are doing a little bit of delayed gratification to that. And that delayed gratification has even further implications of improvement.
Right.
So the more that I can guide someone towards that delayed gratification, even if it's, all right, three treats, but the 3 treats have to be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You have to, you also have to knock out all of your nutritional goals before these 3 treats count. So we still we hold ourselves to a standard.
Yeah.
Before we cash in. And you have to hit a certain level in order to do that. Now, what is good about trophies to treats, though, is that as
I love that you've named it. Trophies to treats.
You said it, and so I'm like, it is catchy. So if it's trophies to treats, and as they start to get higher and they don't get those trophies as frequently, then you're forced to be in this delayed gratification. You're like, all right, well, I'm only getting 1 trophy.
Right.
So do I make this a really big treat?
Yeah.
And that's a little spiral that you can fall into.
Exactly.
So you have to make sure to set a level of what does a treat constitute, and how big am I allowed to let these treats go?
Yeah.
So we just to come back to our example though, and make sure that we're there. So smart revision, instead of I want to get in shape, I will strength train twice a week for 30 minutes for the next 8 weeks. Something even better, I will strength train twice a week at 7 a.m. at Charlotte Strength for the next 8 weeks, making things more and more specific, removing barriers, and it removes the cognitive load of you having to what am I going to do every time I step into the gym? That's why we hire a coach to give you programming, right? Or you take on a program somewhere else so that you're I just step in and I do those things. It's less that I have to think about.
Yep.
A nutrition example might be I want to lose weight.
Yep.
And again, start with one smart revision. I will include a protein source at breakfast 5 days per week. Now, why does that matter? Why is that a smarter version than I want to lose weight? The reason is that I'm focusing on a specific macronutrient, but I'm also probably adding to what I'm currently eating rather than removing. Or focused on removing things from that. Now, if I were going to, again, make this even smarter, I would say I'm going to lose X amount of pounds over X amount of weeks, and make sure, again, that it's relevant. So if your timeline is I only have 8 weeks, keep that rule of thumb that realistic on a conservative, half a pound, on a more aggressive 1 kilo, which is 2.2 pounds.
Right.
And the amount of time that it's going to take for you to do this thing.
Yeah. So that falls back to the attainable. Make sure it's something you can actually do.
The even greater challenge with nutrition is that you have multiple instances. Working out is usually only 1 session in a day, and a few sessions in a week at most. Whereas nutrition is, I have 3 meals a day, potentially snack. And if you're trying to do something like fasting, those rules still kind of apply. You've changed the window in which you're eating. But the idea is still the same. And so you have more opportunities to miss. So you have to be even more willing to be specific with how these things are going to be accomplished. We'll talk a little bit more, I think, about nutrition as we get further down. But yeah, perfect. So just keep that in mind, that to make your goals smarter, specificity will help with those other categories. And that's why it's first.
I love it. I think, some we do, today we printed off our smart. This is it's a blank sheet.
Yep.
Has smart, and it has the definition of each letter and word, and then a way to write down your goals that way versus just writing the goal and leaving it.
Yeah.
So you can do it on your own, but it's a lot better to have someone help put some guardrails up for you to keep you realistic.
And even with that sheet, that's it's a good way to start. A better way would be to fill out that sheet and then sit down with a coach and be like, hey, did I do this right? Or
I set you up for that one.
Or how can I make this better?
Yeah.
Sit down with somebody. It doesn't even have to be one of us. If you have somebody else that that's in the field space and they're certified or licensed, whatever it may be willing to do that with somebody else. Accountability is a heck of a thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to sustainability.
Yes.
How we're going to sustain these. So we've implemented our SMART goals now. Now, how do we sustain it when it comes to fitness and nutrition?
Yeah, so this is where finding the minimum effective dose is something that you'll hear a lot of, and this is that action step. So, what is the first thing you can be the most consistent with? And it may not even be that person who's like, I want to lose weight or I want to get in shape. It may not even be going to the gym twice a week. It may be putting on fitness clothes, just waking up and putting on that outfit and walking downstairs with the intention. One of my favorite stories is there was a trainer who they like pretty much wrote an intention statement, like a contract essentially, that was their SMART goal. And they were not allowed to actually work out for the first 2 weeks. They would have to show up at the gym and just walk around.
Yeah,
they weren't allowed to get on equipment. They just had to get there. And after after 10 days, the person was like, I'm here. Why am I not doing things?
Hell yeah.
And it was creating almost like that hunger. It's like, all right, I'm here and I'm seeing other people. I might as well do it. And so then they were allowed to do 15 minutes, and then they were allowed to do 20, and then 25, and then 30. And so it was this very slow rollout, but it built in this desire to, because they were already having to do this thing and get there, then they could do more. Yeah. They knew they could do more. So there was minimum effective dose to that point of, they eventually got to a point where they weren't hungry, but they also were satisfied. They were satisfied. Yeah. They got there, they got the amount of exercise that they wanted to get in, and it was within the consistency of doing this thing, right? Having this habit.
I think that's huge too, because I think a lot of times when we do this new year, new me, is we go too hard too soon.
Yeah, exactly.
It causes burnout. And I mean, on the extreme end, can cause injury. But I love the slow. I love that. Just like, no, just come watch the workouts. Like, you don't even work out. Just get here 5 days and hang out, walk around. I love that.
You can come here 5 days. You come here 5 days a week. You're allowed to work out once. So pick your day, right?
I like that too, because like a lot of times as coaches, we get excited. It's like, all right, there's this new person. They're eager. Yeah. And like, let's push them. Let's go. But it's like, do we need to push them, or do we help?
Right.
Just kind of pull their strengths back a little bit.
Yeah, how to dial that back. It's like, look, if you haven't been training for a while, and I'll usually like give them, it's like, has it been consistent in the last 6 months? And they're like, no. And they're like, all right, we're going to start slow and steady. Yep. I want you to take this time, and whenever you feel like you need to stop, take 30 seconds. Because oftentimes if we're doing something like I'd say the NotiFit class is high rock stuff, and you're at a high enough intensity, like you're going to stop to catch your breath at some point. Right. And I try to say you should be at an intensity that you shouldn't have to wait any longer than 30 seconds. And if you do, then you're just doing smaller chunks, and then stop for another 30 seconds and do a smaller chunk. So however that looks, but the ability to be consistent is going to have that compounding effect. Like you're going to see the dividends return bigger and bigger, especially early on, as consistency is the focus rather than the thing that you're doing. And I've mentioned this several times, but it is that removing friction versus trying to increase motivation. If I'm just trying to like pump you up and be your hype man, it's not going to be as effective as me finding what is enough for you to like still be, hey, I want a little bit more. Yeah. Like, good. Yeah. Good. I want you to come in and I want you to leave being like, that was good, but how do I get to the next step? Right. Because that means that we are progressing in some way, and we'll like progressive overload is a big thing that we'll talk about just as far as like training goes. But we're progressing at small intervals, but you also are learning about your ability to do more, and that you might have suffered a little bit, but at the end of it, all right, I know I could do a little bit more. I had a little bit more in the tank. Yep. And we have those times where we can get to that we will call like green zones, where hey, if you want to max out or you want to like really go at it, this is the time to do it.
This is the time to go.
Yeah, this is the time to do it.
That's my favorite.
Max out every day. Wow. All right, so we'll go fitness routines, and then we'll go with some nutritional routines too, because I want to make sure we're not getting too off into tangents as we do this. So for fitness routines, number one, start with frequency over intensity. So the 3 levels I tell people: something is better than nothing. Yep. Train with a goal. So setting a goal, and then train with performance in mind. Which is a more extreme version of a goal. So if I were to take this in a high rocks setting, I want somebody to just show up, right? It doesn't matter if you do the whole class, just do the strength work, just do the Metcon, or whatever it is that you have going on that day. But just show up. Yep. Pick one day, come in. I just want to see how you do this. After that, if you're like, okay, I have the once a week down, I need a little bit more. 2 to 3 times a week. Great. Now we can actually start to train for a goal like improving your run time, or improving random ones, wall balls, burpee broad jumps, a specific skill within that framework. Right. And a coach can be like, hey, you're going to come in and follow the program as much as possible, but I know you're also working on this one specific thing. So at the end of the workout, or if you need to stop let's say you need to stop the Metcon 5 minutes early so that you dedicate this skill, then do this, right? Yeah. But if
that's true too. Like, it's okay. Like, talk. If your coach is too hung up on this, that it's tough to do.
Red flag.
But like red flag, that's a red flag. But like if you are in like a high rock setting where you know the test, we know the test, and we're like starting next week, we're 8 weeks out from our next race.
Yep.
And burpee broad jumps are so easy to you.
Yeah.
And the workout has burpee broad jumps, but you absolutely suck at wall balls. Ask the coach, like, hey, can I sub wall balls here? Like, more than likely, they're going to say yes, because I'm going to assume they're a good coach. And that's it. Now, if you just start doing it randomly for every little reason, like, cause you don't, if you do it because you don't like that movement, the coach is hopefully going to tell you no.
Yeah.
But if it's like, hey, no, here's something I really struggle with, I want to get better at it.
Yep.
That's a great opportunity to do just that.
Yep. Exactly. And I know I went directly towards the environment in which we're set in. So now just to step out of that, let's see the majority of people in the world, or majority of people who maybe can't afford a gym membership at this time.
Yeah,
I get it. So how do you do that? You increase steps, right? Reduce sedentary behavior. So if that is setting specific times at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. every day, I will stop and I'll take a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
If you're work from home, it's a little bit easier to do something like that. If you're on meetings all day, then what you do is you say, all right, before I start my lunch break, I will take a 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
And you will prioritize, like you need to prioritize those things and be willing to prioritize.
I love that you said that, prioritize it, because like, and I don't want to make it hard, just hard on us, but like, it is hard to do it here because like we are here all day and it's like it's our job, and it's like, oh, now I got to work out. So mine has been like, I'm going to prioritize doing my workout early in the day because when I'm done working, sometimes the last thing I want to do is work out where I just worked. Was here for 8 hours. Yeah. So like as soon as I'm done with the morning classes, let's get my workout in. Yep. Just so I love making it a priority, because if you really care about this goal and this outcome, then we should prioritize it.
It's also utilizing, so again, we come back to a little bit of the psychology of it. So earlier in the day, you're gonna have the most motivation to do the most things. You've had the least amount of bandwidth pulled from you from things that you've done. So if you're somebody who's like, I can't get up in the morning. You can't get up in the morning, or you won't get up in the morning. Again, let's shrink this down to the minimum dose. And it may not be I can't get up in the morning and go to the gym, but I can get up in the morning and I can go for a 15-minute walk or something along those lines. Or I can walk around my counter while my coffee is being made.
There you go.
So it is.
It's a small step in the right direction.
Correct.
Yeah.
Pun intended. So there are those aspects, just little movement wins. And then you can also, if we start getting into just a different gym, again, doesn't have to be ours. I just want you to be healthier. Start doing body weight routines. You don't have to buy any equipment. I think there was another episode where you talked about like how expensive it would be to get into high rocks, or just like running a 5K or a 10K, right? Versus getting into weightlifting and what the cost comes down to. But body weight routines at home cost you nothing else.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. You have everything you need right there.
You can do calisthenics and be a phenomenal
people
athlete.
make absolute living off of it. Yeah.
You can. You should go if you're gonna do calisthenics, you should do pull-ups.
Yeah.
But so you just got to find a park with a pull-up bar.
Sure.
But you can get in incredible shape with never using any piece of equipment.
Yeah.
Do I think that's ideal? No, because I like lifting heavy things.
Yes.
I think it's good for you. But you can still get great.
And I think you can also, so my biggest thing is, do you have a travel bag at home? And like if somebody has a weekender or something like that, and I say, all right, I want you to load up books, or I want you to load up, more clothes, whatever it is that you have. And that's going to be your progressive resistance. So, this week you've got 10 pairs of pants. Next week, you're going to have 10 pairs of pants and 10 shirts.
I like that we're measuring it in like just clothing, or just like, maybe like they collect marbles and just like every week you add one marble to this bag.
Yeah. My grandfather was notorious for collecting tools that would never be used again. And I was like, hey, you're going to take those old tools and you're just going to put them in a tool bag. And whenever you have that tool bag, like that was farmer's carries, right? He would just carry that down, and then if we needed to, we go to overhead presses. So that tool bag would rest on the back just like a kettlebell would. Yeah. And that would be an overhead press. Put tools in, take tools out. I got 10 wrenches in here.
I do think that like we're getting into the territory of like, all right, you got to be really dedicated and you got to really want it if you're doing that. But like you're proving the point, and this is stuff you said earlier. And I didn't mention it, but I think about it a lot of time. Our job, a lot of time, is eliminating excuses.
Yes.
You talk about eliminating the friction.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, someone's like, I just couldn't make it to class because of this happened today. Yeah. Cool. We're 24/7, dog. Just come in late and then get after it. Like,
cut it in half. Do whatever you need to do.
Do whatever you do.
You just show up.
Yeah.
Right.
Just show up.
Number one, show up. And the last piece that will go here, and this is another big thing, is habit stacking, right? So pair exercise or pair your nutrition with your current. If you need to drink more water either with, before, just after your coffee. I would say probably before or with your coffees, because when you're done with it, you're like, all right, on to my next thing.
That's a positive reinforcement I give myself. I do that is because I knew I was getting bad about just drinking water to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have not had water. So it's like, I make myself drink 1 bottle of water before I even start drinking coffee.
Yep. So positive reinforcement, being able to achieve something by adding something in. Yep. Don't be afraid to do it. Nutrition is a very heavy area that works. As far as positive reinforcement goes, the addition before subtraction. So add fruits and add vegetables to your day before you start eliminating other things. Because if you add those, let's say you add those first, that when you get to the end of the day, if you have the fries, you're less likely to have the fries and the Dairy Queen.
Yeah. Right.
Because you've already filled up on protein, fiber, and other things that your body needed. So not to say that it can't happen. I'm just saying you're less likely to do it.
Right. This is like not ignoring, but knowing that like cravings are a real thing. So even if you're full, you still may crave these things. But that's one technique of nutrition coaching I like is, okay, you can eat whatever you want. Like I don't care if you track. The only thing I want you to track is your protein, and you need to hit this amount of grams of protein. Yep. If you do that, and this is like maybe this is like step 2 or 3 into the process for someone new. Sure. But it's like you can literally eat whatever. You just have to eat that amount of protein first. Yep. Outside of that, do whatever you want to do. Yeah. 8 out of 10 times, that person's probably gonna be pretty damn full that they're not gonna want to go get that Dairy Queen.
Yep. I will. Just as kind of a caveat to that, right? I'll usually ask somebody to either give me 3-day is okay, but a 2-week meal, say like template, like what is a typical 3 days or what is a 2 weeks for them? So like I have them give me that first so that I can look and see what needs to be addressed. Because sometimes right now, protein is being pushed everywhere. Yeah. So I might get somebody who's already hitting enough protein, but they're not hitting enough fruits and vegetables. And so that will be my addition. Is like your protein looks good. These snacks are things that you can have. That's fine, as long as you have 1 to 2 more pieces of fruit, or one serving of fruit, 1 serving of vegetables, in addition to everything else. Once you have that, then you can have those other treats. That's great. So if you cover those, then that's how I'll get to, I think fiber is going to be the big thing that people will focus on. But other nutrition things might be prepping 1 meal. And that doesn't mean like, hey, breakfast on Monday is prepared. That means like breakfast for every day is prepared. Yep. That's the 1 meal. Or lunch for every day is prepared. Dinner for every day is prepared. I live in a house where like we can't go more than 3 days with the same meal. There has to be a change.
Is that you or Amanda?
That's Amanda. That's Amanda. Sorry, Amanda.
I'm opposite of that. I am very okay eating the same thing every day. Yes. So when people say, I'm like, oh, it's just easier that way. Just eat the same thing. You just get into a habit. I've created a habit of making the same thing once a week, and it's fine. It's easy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm the same way in that I could eat the same things. My variety would come from like, all right, I'm going to have rice and like riced cauliflower as my base, and then I'm going to change up the vegetables that I have on top of that. So I might have peppers and onions, or I might have...
what's your favorite color pepper?
Colored pepper? Probably a red pepper.
I think reds taste the best. Yeah. Greens
have they're all over the place, man. Like everybody has green pepper. So I'm like, all right. Give me something with a little bit more, a little spice, even though it's not spicy.
Literally zero spice. It's like it's a sweet pepper.
But yeah, so preparing 1 meal, or having the plan for a meal, and because for some people I know like they'll use Chipotle. They're like, hey, I'm gonna use Chipotle. That's a good way to
Yaffo
choose
is another good one.
Yeah, Yaffo. But yeah, so those bowl like places, Kava, things like that. Those bowl like places where you can structure things a little bit easier. Yep. They'll prepare that like, all right, Monday through Wednesday I'm going to Chipotle. Thursday, Friday I'm going to Kava or Yaffo, and then the rest maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so that is 1 meal prepared. And if that's the way that you want to spend your money, like that's it. Yeah. But that's understand like that's where the pros and cons come from. If that is easier for you on time and you're okay spending the money, do that. Yep. Yeah. Do that. All right. Now, tracking is another big piece of this. So keep your metrics simple. And the best way to do this would be like a checklist. I'll give folks a sheet, and it has, like, let's say our goal is 5 servings of protein, it'll have 5 dots or 5 boxes for protein.
Okay.
If your goal is then 5 servings of fruits and vegetables or 7 servings of fruits and whatever the number may be, that is your checklist, and you're going to check those off every day. As long as you hit. Like, if you don't hit it, don't check it. It's not telling me that you're unable to do this. It's telling me that there's an obstacle somewhere, especially if I see, like, I look at 4 weeks of this and every Wednesday you're missing your fruit and vegetable intake. What is happening on Wednesday that's making it hard for you to hit your fruit and vegetable intake? So this isn't saying that you're failing. This is us getting feedback that something needs to change on Wednesdays so that we can help you to get this and it doesn't set you off track. So being able to make time for these reflections and understanding that this isn't a failure on your part. This is an opportunity to improve on your system. And the same can be said for exercise. It's like, hey, if I structure my week to where I exercise on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then I'm good. But if I miss Monday, then I end up going Tuesday and then Thursday and I miss my 3rd session, right? So what is it that, if you miss that Monday, why does that impact the other days? Or how do we keep the rest of the routine and potentially add one more in another way? And that might be, instead of, I didn't make it on that Monday, so I'm going to do my body weight routine so that Wednesday and Friday are still the same.
Yeah, because that's you see that sometimes as people. I almost said a lot, but I'm hoping it's not a lot. They'll miss that day. Like, we'll just start Monday.
Yeah, we'll just start the next week.
Then it turns into, all right, we'll start next month. All right. There we go. It's New Year's. We start New Year's again.
I'll go to this. I do like this one structure. I'm not a fan of using it, but I am a fan of what it can do. So it's an A-B structure of workouts, right? You have your 2 workouts, but you train 3 times a week. So you do A, B, A. So that if you ever miss one, you're just doing the next workout, whatever it may be. So let's say you train. So week 1, I do A, B, A. Week 2, B, A, B. Week 3, I miss Monday. I'm still going to start with A because I've made my way all the way back around. So I just have 2 workouts that I'm cycling through. So I like what that can do as far as, again, reducing that barrier of, like, well, I missed this one day, so that's going to throw my training off for these other 2 days of progression.
And that shows, like, the mental part that we have to fight too, because we see in a weightlifter sometimes it's like, okay, we have a 4-day-a-week program for the masters, and so one of them missed a day. And then they try to make up that day, and then they don't. And they get behind. Next thing you know, they're 2 days behind. It's like, just move, just go to, just go.
Move to the next one.
Keep going.
If you need to make a progression, like, that's why we build periodization in. That's why your coaches are there and they're building these programs, is because they are like, all right, you know what? We're going to build up, and eventually it's got to drop back down for a new baseline. And we're going to have regular testing so that you know where you're at. And that may not be where you want to be, but that's okay. Being okay with not making as much progress as you think you should be making. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's what it is.
That's a good one.
Or happiness. But yeah.
I've never met comparison.
Just remember that tracking can be counterproductive, right? If you get into this perfection, like everything has to be ticked off, or I'm not going to do it. Again, that is, we overcommitted. So that's one of the things that tracking can do, is it makes a little bit too much if you if you feel like you have to be perfect with it, and the type of tracking has to be appropriate. So again, a checklist versus using MyFitnessPal or another app that you have, or a Train Heroic where you have to log specific things. Are you willing to do those things? Some people, they're like, I want it written down, or I want an Excel spreadsheet, right? That is how you need to do it. And that, if that's going to be what keeps you consistent, do it that way. And then if you're just tracking for tracking's sake, but you're never reflecting, that's going to make it more challenging for a long-term achievement of goals.
Because like if you don't realize where you're struggling, you don't adapt. You just stay the same. You just keep banging your head against the wall.
Yes, it's measuring, but you're never reflecting. Right. And so reflection is the key piece that I want to harp on there. So, all right. It's moving right through this, because I know I don't want to carry us too long, and I know I can talk for a long time.
You never.
All right. So let's talk about kind of the fitness industry boom and what to watch for, right? These green flags, red flags kind of thing. So positive tactics, or what I might call green flags, these are typically, they're more ethical and they're more helpful, right? So you might have introductory programs. We do an onboarding here at Charlotte Strength, right? You have to go, if you haven't trained for a certain amount of time, or you have specific goals like weightlifting, you have to go through the onboarding process. We have to see, 1, that you're safe, 2, that you have a baseline that you can work off of. And 3, you get an introduction to our core values in our community.
Yeah.
Like, because that's going to be a key piece of what you do anywhere.
Yeah.
So that the introductory programs that have realistic expectations, not these extreme 30-day, 60-day challenges of like, look the best, or this is the worst time of your life. If you don't do this, you're never going to be any better.
Yeah.
So green flags, realistic expectations with an introductory program, and oftentimes it's going to be like smaller scale, so that you get a little bit more attention.
Yep. The less people in the session, the better for the people in the session.
Yes. Yeah, especially early on, right?
Yep.
Education-based coaching, and this doesn't mean that you're going in for an anatomy and physiology class, but it does mean that your coach is meeting you where you're at and is having discussions with you, whether it's on, again, why you train, why we train at a certain frequency, why you're doing specific movements. Like if your goal is to improve your push-ups, why are we only doing squats?
Yeah.
So education-based coaching needs to be there. Flexible memberships. If they're like, no, let's say it's a 24/7 access facility and we only have this one membership. You're going to, again, increase the obstacles for people. And I get that you want to have a niche, but there's also that expectation that like everything doesn't happen exactly the same for every single person. And so you can add a selection that still holds to your values as a gym, holds to your values, but allows for more people to engage in those values and, again, in that community to improve, which I think we do as far as like having twice a week, 3 times a week.
That's a good one to say, because like we have had many conversations on that, on the running the business side.
Yeah.
We initially did not. Well, I don't say initially, but we initially did, and then we went to not having anything except for the unlimited option. Reason being, at least at the time, what we told ourselves is we want it to be very straightforward.
Yeah.
You're a member, you're not a member.
Yeah.
But then to your point, and like the more we talked about it, the more like we've kind of went back and we've added those other 2 options, was that, okay, we have people that want to weight lift, but they also, it actually came from our members. None of them requested it.
Yeah.
It was just kind of feedback we got. It's like, oh, they like to rock climb.
Right.
They go to the climbing gym. They like to do that 2 days a week and like to do this 3 days a week. It's like, oh, okay, well, we care about these people. We want them. We want them to keep doing these things. We don't want them to stop. We don't want them to be like
sacrificing their life for
and it was kind of I don't say we would being disingenuous, but we would, the youth program, like when someone reaches out and they're like, my child, I want them to start getting into this. And one thing we always say is like, oh, cool, we want them to play all the sports.
Yes.
Like I think we're all on the same page here. Is like, we don't want a kid just to be stuck playing baseball, traveling. The odds of them making it pro are very low. Yeah. So like if they're traveling, they only get experience to this one group of people, this one sport. They're just missing out on opportunities to explore other avenues. And so the same thing is like, we don't think adults should be limited to like, nope, 5 days a week you got to be here. Don't you dare go have any other activities. Yeah. So I'm glad we've gone back on that to give people the opportunity to like, yes, they're not quite as involved. So we do try to reward those with like our committed club thing is like, okay, you're here more often. We want to celebrate that because we like celebrating wins. But yeah, so that was the one we've gone back and forth on. Yeah.
I'd say it's a big thing for Pillar, because I find that a lot of my athletes, a lot of the folks that fall into the Pillar realm are those individuals, right? Not always, but oftentimes they're like, hey, I want to play pickup basketball. I want to go and play in what's the sports league we have here in Charlotte?
Sports Link.
There you go, Sports Link. They're like, I'm a part of Sports Link, so I play this sport this time of year. I play this sport this time of year. So you're like, yeah, you got things going on. Yeah. And if I were to follow the physical activity guidelines, which is resistance train twice a week, and best way to do that is like total body sessions every time, and then go through 150 to 300 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity cardio. If those are the sports, if the sports is your way of getting that moderate to vigorous intensity, great, right? That also allows you to, all right, all I have to do now is these 2 sessions at the gym. I don't have to be in there 5 days a week, right, in order to improve. Now, keep in mind this like in-season, off-season, preseason, postseason type deal. We could get into that with specific sport performance athletes, but for our general population, like 2 times a week is what I recommend. This is where you need to get to.
Yeah.
If your goal is health and longevity, 2 resistance training time, 2 resistance training sessions a week and then outside. And I've actually, that has been one of the bigger struggles as I continue to like evolve a little bit of pillar for this year, this annual plan, is being able to cater a little bit more to that with the programming that I'm offering and letting them know like, hey, if you're going to train 2 times a week, day 1 and day 5 are the 2 days to do, right? So whether you train on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever your 2 days are,
do those.
Move these days to that time so that you get this in. And in hopes with that, building our next point here is like community building initiatives, right? So wherever it is that you're planning to train should have a system of core values, and a lot of that should revolve around the community that they're trying to do, right? Because for us, fitness, and I'll go back to CrossFit, was just about getting people to move, right? And move in different ways and see progression. And being able to understand like, okay, if I can't do this, I can do this.
Right.
So that you can see, I don't have to be at this level. I can start here and I can get to this level. When the games, I think, started to get a little bit more gamified, it created some rifts there, but ultimately it was about fitness and creating that community around it.
I love the early days of CrossFit were so fun because of that. Because it's like you'd be in a small little garage that was called a business, and it was like 2,000 square feet at most, and it'd be like 8 of you just like throwing down, just like going for blood with each other. Like, it was
what used to be the weekend warrior was now being able to trickle into the week, right? Because you now had this outlet for it.
It was great. Like, oh wait, we get to be competitive. And like, so that stuff was fun.
And then the last piece, whether it's a coach or whether it's a gym, there should be an emphasis on that habit formation, right? So we talked about the different memberships to help guide towards that direction. The tools that we offer, here's a sheet that can help you to write out that SMART goal and be prepared for the next 6 months, the next 12 months. So habit formation over, purely aesthetics, that 30-day, 60-day transformation kind of thing. So that moves us into like these negative or red flags negative tactics, red flags. So if somebody's fear-based marketing, this is the last chance to be the best you ever, right? Or if you don't do this, your family's gonna turn their back on you, kind of thing.
I want to know. I wish there was like a way, like what is the darkest any marketing one has ever gone?
How far? People push it, man. So I'm sure somewhere we like, I shouldn't have gone down that rabbit hole.
It's like chill.
But so fear-based marketing, and a lot of that's going to be either a lot of that's going to be punishment-based, right? So I'm not going to say it's not reinforcement. It's not positive or negative reinforcement. Is it positive or negative punishment? So if you don't make that workout, you have to do 100 burpees. If you don't do this thing, then you don't get to eat that thing. So those punishment pieces are often a part of that fear-based strategy. Or it's going to lean with where it's like always, never. If you do this, then this is gonna ruin your life, right? So, and we see that. Sorry to say, this is a lot of the Maha movement, right?
Dude, I was trying to not. But,
That's it. I'm gonna make that mention, and that's it. But that is a lot of where a lot of the wellness influencers who are being paid right now, and on all sides. But if they're getting paid for it, they're going to push themselves to an extreme because they have to. Like, that's how they get paid. The problem is that people are not able to identify the BS from the and misinformation from the actual principles that matter. So unrealistic transformation promises and extreme challenges. Again, like these things where you're trying to lose 60 pounds in 60 days, or 60 pounds in 30 days, right?
If it says guaranteed,
again, we come to that extreme language. If it's extreme language, oftentimes it's unrealistic, and there's going to be consequences for that. Yes, you can achieve it, but at what cost?
Right.
Then you get into like the high pressure sales tactics, and like sales is one thing because you do have to help people learn what they want.
Right. And it's I hate calling it sales because like I want to. I think because we do sales team training meetings here, like. But I almost, as we sit here, I want to reframe it. I want to be like, how do we promote and show how genuine we really are about like, hey, we just want to help you. So like instead of it being like, hey, I'm trying to sell something to you, maybe I just want to reframe our whole thinking into like, no, what we want to earn your trust, which is why that's one of our core values.
Trust. That's right.
And so it's just like, maybe we focus on being better at showing that we are trustworthy versus just trying to sell.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, I think with the sales training that we've done in the past is that we, again, focus on language. Words matter. And we focus on the language that we use, asking questions, number one, and then being able to take that information, package it, and then put it back to them with what we have to offer.
Yeah.
And knowing that like we're not for everyone. And that's okay.
Now I from the top down, from Sean down, is where we've made sure, like, hey, if someone is looking for X, and this is X, let's say someone that doesn't want to be coached, which is okay.
Right.
Someone that just wants access to a gym, which is A-okay.
Yep.
Someone that wants to do some like bodybuild type of stuff. Cool. That's not what we are. I'm not going to try to trick you and be like, oh yeah, we have dumbbells and a mirror. You can do that.
Go for it.
Go to Fitness Factory.
Yeah.
It's a great gym. Go over there.
Excellent. Excellent facility.
It's a great place to go train.
It even gives you a little like a nostalgia for those, because I feel like, if I still know this correctly, they get a lot of like used equipment from colleges and maybe some like other sports teams and things like that. So like you can go in there and you can be like, dude, like the Panthers used to use this.
Yeah, let's go do it.
Yeah, Checkers used to use this.
So like I think that's like being genuine and like not, because like at the end of the day we are a business and we do have we have to sustain being a business
level,
to be able to provide the service that way, because it is a service driven industry,
and the level of coaching that we want to maintain.
Exactly. So there's multiple layers to it. Like we want our staff to be paid well. We want to be here for a really long time so we can have an impact on the community and the immediate area. Like we had our staff meeting the other night with these things we talked about. But then also we don't want the driving force to be like, all right, we have to make this amount of money to make all this. Like we know we need to make X amount of money to make all this work, but we don't want that to be our reason. We want our reason to be that we are helping people within our community.
Yes. Yeah. Come back to the core values, right? So team first, trust, virtuosity, discipline, and choose violence, right? So our goal first is to embody those values, and then the way in which we do that provides us a business to run, right? And a business that grows, like we've seen it over the last year, where we've really done that tracking. Again, we set goals, we set SMART goals in order to do this, right? In order to see like the growth and how that impacts, and how us as a staff, choosing to follow those principles, how that continues to serve those different things. But yeah. All right. So just to wrap this one up too, shame-driven messaging is another piece, and that can go along with like kind of the fear-based marketing, but shaming people into weighing a certain weight or looking a certain way, in order to fuel this like almost primal drive to change, again, rides more so on like this motivation and this negative or positive punishment piece, rather than, again, being a little bit more promoting of healthy behaviors.
Yeah, I would definitely not name names here, but there are gyms. I'm not gonna call them a gym because they are a gym. They're more of a boutique style studio.
Yeah.
Where I'll try to keep this under control. So most coaches within those type of facilities are 1099 employees, contractors.
Yep.
So there are laws when it comes to that, where you cannot require them to. Legally, you can't require them to work certain hours.
Yep.
You can't tell them what to wear. Basically, here's a task; they get it done on their own timeline. Type of thing is how it's supposed to work. So it's like this weird gray area we live in with doing it in the fitness industry. But this studio requires like full makeup, full hair, certain branded clothing. Like, I don't know if they enforce you to look a certain way, but it very much feels like that.
Yeah.
And so like they may not be saying the shameful driven messages, but they're portraying that like
portraying.
This is how you
sadly
they want
embodying.
You to look.
Yeah,
they're definitely embodying it. It's like, oh, so they don't give a shit about performance. So that to me, this is hitting multiple levels. It's like all they care is about the aesthetics. And it's like you need to look this certain way. It's like, oh, that's not
higher turnover, probably higher burnout. All right. So for those who are listening, right, some things you can do to kind of protect yourself as you get into this. ask questions. Be prepared with questions when you go in. One in particular would be like, what happens when this program ends, right? So as we're going through this onboarding process with our members, we say, hey, you're gonna have these 6 sessions, and after the sixth session, we're gonna sit down and we can talk through this more. But here are your basic options. Based on your goals, this is what I think is gonna suit your needs best. And either that works for them or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, and they want to discuss maybe a little bit more like, hey, what can I do instead? Because maybe I'm not in a financial place right now, or maybe I'm getting ready to move in 3 months. So a year-long commitment's not something that's going to fit for me. How do I make the most of these next few weeks? Find the priorities, find the low-hanging fruit, and the things that are going to continue to build consistency. But ultimately, the question is like, what's next, right? So that you can also start building those specific action items that you're going to do that continues to put you towards that goal.
I think personally, this is one I struggle with, because every time like I hit a goal, I fall off.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I haven't PR'd my snatch in over a year because like I hit the goal I wanted. I wanted to snatch 100 kilos.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right,
done.
Cool. Time to do high rocks.
I was going to say the other side of that was that your goal pivoted. Your priority pivoted.
It did, but it wasn't like, all right, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to go do that. It was just kind of like, all right, I don't know what's next within this sport.
Okay.
So I kind of just naturally switched over. So I don't know.
I think it's still a priority shift, right? It comes back to,
I guess it just wasn't a planned priority shift. How about that?
Yeah, it wasn't planned. I was like, oh yeah, I do this thing, I like this. But I think there's other things too, like people in your environment, in your circle, people who are close to you, whose opinions you value, were like, hey, look, I noticed that you've been doing these things and you've enjoyed doing a lot of these different things, but if you continue to try to do all of it, it's going to be detrimental at some points. I wasn't going to say anything, but it could be a close friend too, or it could be family, it could be close friends, anything. But anyone, just to say that, hey, if you're trying to do too many things again, this is going to take away from other areas.
Then the people that tell you those hard things, keep them in your life.
Yes.
Because those are the people that care about you.
Yeah, for sure.
If they're willing to say things you don't want to hear, keep them around.
That's right. So one of the questions again, what happens after a program ends? How is progress measured? Because different gyms, different coaches may prioritize different things, especially, you could have the same conversation with 3 different coaches and they all walk away with different things that they're going to focus on, right? The beauty of working with different coaches is that, again, we know we're not for everybody, but that we have multiple coaches in here that can be for someone.
Yeah, because I think me and Jordy talk about this a lot. He's probably tired of me hearing say this because he asked about programming and stuff. I'm like, in my opinion, there's no right way to do a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But there's definitely wrong ways.
Yeah.
Like if you're back to what we were talking about now, there's definitely good ways and better ways, but they all can be steps in the right direction.
Yep.
So as long as you're doing somewhere on that side of the spectrum, hell yeah.
Yes.
But if you're doing the other direction, which I think I flip-flopped it from earlier in the episode,
that's all right.
but make sure you're going in the right direction either way.
Yeah. Push towards that progression, right?
Yes.
Push towards the progression in some way. All right. So the last thing would be kind of something we've already touched on, but is there personalization, right? Whether it's a coach or whether it's a gym, are you following a team program, and does that team program, is there room for flexibility? I had the conversation actually with 2 athletes this morning. Is there room for flexibility in this program for what they want to achieve? And for Pillar, that is really what I had to focus on. There has to be flexibility because so many different people are in it.
Yeah.
Whereas like in High Rocks, you have a very specific outcome. Like it is a very specific race. It's going to be the same every time. So if your goal is a High Rocks race, the flexibility was what we mentioned earlier. Are you bad at wall balls? Do you need to do more wall balls, right? So, but you're awesome at burpee broad jump. So take off that burpee broad jump, put in the wall balls. There's still flexibility there, but it can't be as broad.
Then I would actually add another layer to it, is if you have, just sticking with where I'm at the most of High Rocks, if you have someone who doesn't plan to compete, there's even more flexibility. It's like, okay, your goal is you just want to use this as your tool for exercising,
right?
But you absolutely hate burpee broad jumps, and I program burpee broad jumps at least once a week during in season, because guess what, we got to do them.
You got to do them.
Cool. You don't have to do burpee broad jumps.
No.
You can tell me you hate them, and I will tell you, like, here is something else you can do. Like, that is okay.
Yeah.
Like,
or even break it down. If like putting the whole movement together is something that you're not going to do, then like do you like the explosiveness of a broad jump, or even just like a box jump?
Yeah, there you
do
go.
a box jump.
Yeah.
Take the burpee piece out of it. Yep. Do a box jump, or you're like, hey, push up. I like upper body. I'm going to say this because it's typically more men, right? Yeah. You're like, hey, I need to build up a little bit. Do some push-ups, dog.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do these push-ups. So keep an eye out for those red flags, and even more so for the green flags if you can spot them.
Yeah.
And go in having questions, whether it's the general ones we gave you here, like what happens after program ends, how's progress measured, is there personalization, or something again specific to you. Make your questions like your goals, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or relevant and time bound.
And I would say one final red flag that I just thought of that wasn't on there is when you ask those questions and they try to tell you that like what you want isn't good.
Yeah.
Cause they may not offer what you have, and instead of steering you in the right direction, they may try to change what you want.
I'll give it maybe a little bit broader here as far as the response. Make sure they answer your question. If they try to circumvent the question in some way, right? That's going to be a big red flag for me.
Yeah.
If I'm like, hey, but what happens next? And they're like, again, like we have these options right here. You're going to work with this trainer, and as soon as you're done with this trainer, you're going to feel great, and then you'll sign up for a year. Like, yeah. But like, what's this trainer going to do for me that I like am going to be in a place to join this program or do this thing? Like, just get started. Just get started. You'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because too when they're that shows that their focus is just on making the sale.
Yep.
It's not necessarily about like your actual progression.
Right. All right. Moving, we got last little bit.
Last piece.
Kind of summarizing.
What we at, like an hour 20? Not too bad.
Not too bad.
I can't see it from here.
Framing success or reframing success. Once you're in it, remember that fitness is not a seasonal thing. It's also not just a weekly thing, right? Where you're just like, oh, it has to start on Monday, it has to end on Friday, or it has to start on X day and end on X day. Fitness is always going to be there, and you can always start. You can always pick back up. However you need to do. Just remember that it might look a little different than when you stop, depending on how long you stopped for.
Yeah.
But fitness is not gonna just go away. It's there, and it's meant to be adaptable.
Yeah.
Right. Our bodies are very adaptable. So know that you can engage in fitness in a lot of different ways. But if you want to make the most out of it, number one, please work with a professional who is certified, licensed to do so.
Do you know you can just open a gym without being licensed?
Without being licensed, craziest thing. Anyways, and I know we talked about Quitter's Day, but there's also the February drop off. Right?
For those that survive Quitter's Day,
there is the February drop off.
February.
The February failure. That sounds a little bit worse, but
you're a failure.
Yeah.
You should get like AI can create this where like if you verbalize or in any way put out into the universe that you're doing these goals and you fall off in February, you should just get like all this spam phone calls, texts, and emails that are just like, you're a failure.
Finish him. All right. So the February drop off. Remember that like when you get to that point, you may have realized you bit off a little bit more than you could chew, and that's okay. It isn't failure, it's feedback.
February feedback.
Yeah, February feedback is really where it goes. That's it. TM?
Dude, I think you should. That should be. We should look into that. We should look into like, because we're doing goals meetings right now. We should do ones in February. Like, you set those things, and I know we're only 4 weeks in, but like, how they looking?
Yeah, that'll be very hard to do for like us as coaches on a one-on-one focus. But there may be some way for us to get more feedback from like members, athletes. That might be, or again, just a way for them to sit down, maybe in a group.
Yeah,
that would be like a February feedback group session kind of thing. Remember that your goals are adjustable. It is not set in absolute stone, which is why we start planning so that we get as close as possible to an appropriate goal, a SMART goal. And instead of being, well, I didn't achieve that thing, I'm just going to stop doing that thing. Focus on what you did achieve and how, if you were to continue to do that thing, how does that continue towards success? What kind of success does that drive? Or sitting back down with somebody and being like, hey, this wasn't realistic, but I still want to achieve this thing. How do I need to pivot?
I love that too, because like we did all this work, because it may be harder for someone that did all this work to create a SMART goal.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh shit, that still wasn't it.
Yeah.
Like you may have put hours and hours of work into creating this and then it not be, for whatever life happened and it wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I think that's great to like remember. Even if you did all that, it can still go haywire.
Yeah, I had a client who had surgery. Like they were like, hey, this is on the horizon. I just don't know when it's going to be, right? And then they had the surgery, and we were like, well, we were this far. We were this close to getting to this goal. And they're like, now it's going to set me back. And I'm like, it's going to set you back, but you did all the things that you needed to. That's going to make it easier for you to come back.
The setback's going to be smaller.
Yeah, and the comeback's going to be faster.
Let's go.
And then the last thing is celebrating additional wins or additional victories that aren't necessarily what you plan to measure. So if you were measuring weight loss, for example, even though you didn't get to 185 at the exact time that you wanted to, you did increase your deadlift and your squat and your bench press by X amount of pounds, right? 20, 30, 40 pounds. And so you made those, and that's not scale specific to your body weight, but it is a strength marker that tells us that you're moving in a direction that is more healthy, or again, that you've engaged in run club twice a week for the last 4 weeks. And that has also contributed to like this community or social engagement that has also helped you from a mental standpoint, that you feel like you're able to share a little bit more. You feel less stressed when it comes to work because you have this community again that you can share these things with.
100%.
So those additional victories, be ready to celebrate those.
I've mentioned this podcast before on this podcast, but my favorite podcast of all time that is no longer Jalen Rose and forget the other guy. It's been a few years, but one of the things they always said is like, I want a reason to celebrate. I want to celebrate everything. So I don't care if you just bench pressed 55 pounds and that was a PR. I'm going to fucking scream it because I am excited for you.
Ring
that's
that
fun.
bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring that bell.
Like that is, no matter how insignificant it feels to you, for the first time in your life, you did something that you've never done before.
Yep.
And that's really cool.
Yep.
So you should celebrate it, and I want to celebrate it with you.
Don't make sure that doesn't turn into trophies for treats.
That's kind of how it's
At least not too much.
I'm an enabler when it comes to
Yeah.
trophies for treats or treats for trophies.
Treats for trophies, however that works. Yeah. All right. Let's just kind of go through a quick recap here. And if there's anything that comes up, let me know. But number one, SMART goals over the vague resolutions. If you say, I want to lose weight, I want to get fit, I want to run more, I want to quit smoking, or I want to eat healthier. Those are good places to start. Because there's not a bad place to start, but those are good places to start, but there are certainly better ways to go about it. And the
only bad place to start is not starting.
It's not starting. Yeah. The best place to start after yesterday is today. So
I was thinking about that, and I want to create a new one.
Okay.
I haven't ironed it out yet, because I do think these, like, I'm gonna do the hard 30, hard 75. I don't think they're the best way.
No.
But if they do trigger you to start, there is a potential that it leads to positive change.
Yeah.
Now, we definitely agree it's not sustainable, but it could. So I don't want to say they're all bad.
Yep.
So in my head, I want it to be the third best place to start was on one of these gimmicks.
Yeah.
The second best place to start was yesterday. The best is today.
Okay.
So I've got to iron that one out.
Okay. All right. Find our levels there and find our wording. And when it comes after you've established this goal, focus on your steps. Focus on the small steps, because that's going to be what you have to fall back on, right? When the motivation is low and you're not seeing even if we're able to set, quote unquote, the most realistic picture in your mind, things are going to derail, and it's not going to look exactly how you wanted to. And so when we set those expectations and those expectations aren't met, it tends to send us into the other extreme, right? And that's what pushes us towards quitting. Yep. So remember, it's the small steps, it's those consistencies. That's what's going to be your long-term, and that's what's going to really determine success, over just like, hey, I made this plan, and that's what has to happen. There's so many things. There's so many wins that are going to happen along the way. Be smart as a consumer in this industry, the fitness industry, or I'll say health and wellness industry in general.
In everything.
Yeah, in everything. Be a smart consumer, for sure. But in this, I say maybe be a questioning consumer. Be willing to ask questions, because as coaches, and I try to explain this to clients on a team level, on an individual level, and even like peer to peer, is like, we have to ask questions, because I can make this more tailored to you if I know what you're struggling with.
Right.
It also may be the same question that somebody else has and they don't know how to ask it. And then if you ask it, they're like, oh man, I actually needed to know that too.
Yeah.
Or there's something else that you're missing that would make other things easier. And so again, my job as a coach is to, again, remove barriers, or like you said, redirect and guide, so that you are more able to be successful. Yeah. Be careful of those red flags out there. Yep. Anything that's going to be extreme, anybody that tells you that this is the only way to do it. From a fitness standpoint, there's only one way to exercise. There's only one way to build muscle. There's only one way to do. There's not. right? Nobody's gatekeeping. Anybody who is worth their grain of salt, they are not gatekeeping any secrets from you.
Right.
We do the simple things because we do know the simple things work. Now, if you want to do the fancy things, absolutely, we can put that in there for you because that's a specific thing that you want to do. But if you're like, hey, I just saw so-and-so do this, so I have to do this. And you're like, do you? What? Again, go back to the why. Why does that fit into your goal versus like, yeah, we could spend some time on this, but you have to, again, you have to achieve these other things first.
Yeah.
That's your treat for your trophy.
Right. Have you seen the guy that, I think he trains like stunt professionals?
Okay.
And they're squatting on a like barbell squatting on a Bosu ball.
Yeah.
And like doing this crazy stuff. And it's like, what?
Why?
But for them, it may, for their specific line of work, it may be what they need to do. But you and I am not. Nope. Like they're standing on a resistance band, squatting a barbell.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to break everything.
I would argue it's not relevant because stunting is it's sport.
Yeah.
And so to be good at your sport, you have to practice your sport.
That's what you're saying. Yeah. So they could do just normal strength training.
And
then go practice that without adding, not crossing them over. Yeah.
Because now I'm branching into overtraining very specific things for somebody who's a stuntman.
That's a good point.
I would go back to how I need to make them stronger. I need to make them more resilient.
Right.
And the gimmick stuff is not necessarily what's going to make them resilient.
Yeah. And what they're working on, you could get a lot of that without as much risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Risk
reward.
Yeah, you could do very similar things with less risk.
Yeah, I don't have that specific person. At least I don't think I have yet.
Yeah.
But I have seen two coaches in particular that show up for me. And one is for like a woman who's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to do what she does, what this coach has her do. I won't even call him a coach. He's not. He's not coaching.
Not doing that.
No. What he's having her do is extremely high risk and extremely small reward for what her goals are, at least in her sport. Now, if this is her off season and she's like, no, I enjoy making these videos, by all means, go at it. I don't know the context there, but if it was just like this coach saying like, this is how you should train, absolutely not. Catching a barbell while you jump onto a Bosu ball has no translation over other than catching a barbell while landing on a Bosu ball. And there again, Bosu ball pops. Too much risk. Yeah, too much. All right, come back to one simple call to action. So, what is the one habit that you can start with?
Are you asking me?
No.
Okay.
I'm just. I'm making the statement. Yeah.
Okay.
When you have your goal in place and when you have your why, what is the one action? What is the one habit that you can fall back on that is like the foundation of your system? Because as you're progressing through the system, if something falls off, you can now come back to this one thing.
I feel like there's so many analogies we can use for this, but like you're just building that base. Keep building that foundation. Like
foundations.
Every step you step in the right direction is another block that goes on this foundation that we're building. Like I can just see it. I can just see it in my head. So
it's like that Rain Man analogy, but instead of a bunch of like trigonometry and calculus, I see a bunch of quotes, motivational quotes that are just flying back and forth. So that's the one thing is like there's always one habit that you can fall back on. And when the motivation is low, what is that one thing you can do? And start there. Even if you get this, I'll go back to my example of like the person needs to just put on their workout outfit in the morning, right? If you get to a point where you haven't worked out for 2 weeks and you're like, that's it, I'm done, right? Day one, put that back on because it won't take you, let's say they went for 6 months and then fell off for 2 weeks. It won't take you 6 months to get those 2 weeks back.
Right.
And honestly, if I be a little scientific with this, right, your strength doesn't go away until 3 weeks.
Right, so you're still in the Goldilocks zone. Let's get right back to it.
We're still right in it, right? You just took a vacation.
So you're saying I can snatch and clean and jerk once every 3 weeks and still be fun?
Not 70 that. Not saying that. Sorry. Not saying that. A little bit different because that's a power expression rather than strength. Power goes down faster.
I can still out snatch Harley, so.
All right, Harley, your time to shine. All right, so that's it. I know we kind of teased some other things that would be like a good thing to like follow up with this. And if people have suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Always love like getting feedback, comments, and things like that. If you want to hear more about like habit building, mindset, you know, or just a Q&A, right? It's like, all right, people listen to this or they've been listening to the podcast for a while. What are some of the questions now that you have? And just do a Q&A episode, right? It's like, hey, what about this? What about this lift? Do I need to do this lift? We talked about biomechanics, right? What's proper technique, right? What does that mean? And what is if you really want to go this far, what does the literature say, right?
Yeah.
I can just give you a blank answer, or we can bring out the studies.
Fuck yeah.
So however you want to do it, but.
Well, good job. That was great.
Yeah.
I think this was very good timing and very helpful. I think this could come out like right before Failure February.
February feedback.
Feedback.
Before your February feedback time.
Right before, and right after Quitter's Day, which no one's doing that. We're not celebrating this year.
No, we're not. We don't have that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Hughston.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you to the girls for watching Elowen. She's out there having a blast. So.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we have, again, the community that we do that makes this possible, where I have a 15-month-old who has enjoed now being in this atmosphere, but also they enjoy having her in this atmosphere.
It's great.
Yeah.
So.
Strong women doing strong things.
Hell yeah. I love it. All right, Hughston, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Peace.